Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. Whew. Hey guys, astrological insights with my dear friend Claudia Thompson. You're going to get to hear about her in a couple of minutes. We decided we wanted to share with you some wisdom about how to handle what's coming up. And one of the things I love about Claudia is that she happens to not only give you the wisdom from the stars, but then she gives you insight into how to cope. Okay, how to tools, and she's a pragmatic astrologer. That's what I have to tell you about her. Meanwhile, I'm so glad you're here. As a matter of fact, I'm so glad that I think we ought to all just take a deep breath and kind of settle in together. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're back again, I'm so glad to see you. I am Joan of Angels. You can find me at joanofangels.com. In fact, go over there and subscribe right now to the channel so that you can, and to the website, so you can get all my updates about everything that's going on in the miracle, angelic, intuitive world. So yeah, good. And also be sure to like, subscribe, and share, because that is how the content gets seen on YouTube. Otherwise, you disappear in that tiny little corner where you never get seen. So the more you guys help and like everything, the more we can have better speakers, better guests, and just get that word out. So meanwhile, I'm so happy to see you, and I hope you are having a very delicious and delightful day. So let's all start and just center. I always like to do this. Take a deep breath in and let it all out. And again, take a deep breath in. Let it all out. And Mother, Father, God, we are just so grateful for the presence of our guides, our angels, our spiritual team, those guardians of light that work with us from this planet, inner earth, this life, past life, future lives. And we are so grateful for this chance to step into the miraculous with all of you and some of our new inspirational guests that you're about to enjoy. So meanwhile, share us out with your friends so that they can get this really gift of knowing what's up. So I'm going to bring Claudia up. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. She's one of my favorite people. She's been one of my astrological insight consultants. So Claudia, can you move your screen a little bit? That's better, so we can see all your whole beautifulness. Thank you very much. So I'm going to let you give a brief introduction of how you found your way into astrology to become one of the renowned astrologers of today.
Well, you might say that my journey took me from Hollywood to the moon. And I began my study of astrology at age 22. My mother and I took a class in the summer. She was a psychologist for exceptional children and knew somehow that these aberrations in behavior and in the brain structure had some insights from astrology. For me, it started me on a journey that explained, that there's a phrase over the Temple of Delphi that says, know thyself. And my father gave that to me as a mantra when I was really little. And I feel that that's what astrology really helps you do. It helps you really know yourself, as well as all of us have asked the question, if life was going to be so crazy and difficult, why wasn't I given a map? Why wasn't I given a rule book of sorts? Well, you were. It's your natal chart. So as I proceeded along, I went into a more of an artistic career, and I ended up in Hollywood doing makeup and hair design. And then I ended up winning an Emmy. And a lot of things converged. I was caring for my mother at that time while working 18 hours a day. And she passed away. And I knew something was calling me. I just didn't know what it was. And you're going to get a kick out of how that bypassed me in a minute for so long. And I moved out of Los Angeles. And ultimately, I ended up in a small town in Northern California. And it was surrounded by water on three sides. So there were fishermen, there were organic gardeners, and there was a tide guide that was produced for all of Marin County and the coastal part of San Francisco. It was produced in Bolinas. So
that's where you ended up, in Bolinas.
Bolinas, yes.
I love Bolinas. Okay.
It's really
love it. No wonder you started talking to the stars there. That's all there is.
I could see them.
If there's no fog.
So ultimately, I had a friend in Los Angeles, my next door neighbor, who was getting very technological at the end of the 90s when the internet was really coming into public awareness. She kept calling me and saying, you know, there's nothing on the internet about the moon except for NASA. I was like, yeah. Okay. And I was still doing hair. I was doing what I could to keep my head above water and letting go of the past, which is what we're all being asked to do now, cleansing and clearing. And I started to connect the dots. People started asking me for readings once they found out that I was an astrologer, which I had actually become in the early 80s. I went into a deep dive and really started to learn this science and how to apply it for other people's benefit. And so a friend of mine who was an herbalist had a radio show. And she called me and she said, I want you to come on and do a segment every 2 weeks with me. I said, oh, okay, great. You want me to talk about beauty from the inside out? She said, no, I want you to talk about the moon. I was like, the moon? And of course, my friend from LA called me again. And I said, well, you'll never guess what I'm doing now. I'm doing a show on the moon. My friend, the herbalist, went to France to be with her father as he made his transition. And she said, you take the show. So I renamed it Star Talk. I was on weekly and I related politics, beauty, business, everything to the moon. And I developed a practical system by which you can tune into the real rhythms of life and have the energetic real timing for everything. So I looked back, I'm sitting in Desert Hot Springs a few years later, looking at my birth certificate. And I had looked at it for years and years and years. So I thought that the doctor that birthed me was the doctor that birthed my sister. No, the doctor that birthed me was named, drum roll, Dr. Charles Moon. So my assignment had been given to me at birth and I had been waylaying it and finally arrived back home, coming home to my soul, which is represented in astrology by the moon. And it's been my passion and my pleasure and my joy and, you know, my curiosity.
You were delivered by a Dr. Moon.
Literally. At some point, I'm going to publish a book next year. At some point, that tidbit will be in there because, yes, it's true. I'm as gobsmacked by that fact as anybody else, let me tell you.
Wow. Okay. So this is very exciting. And I know the moon has a lot to tell us. And I just know that we're in such, extraordinary times, 2021, 2022. I think it's been probably hundreds of years since the planet has seen such a time, maybe never, not in my lifetime for sure, but I thought that really you could help us break it down so we can understand how we personally can deal with this.
Well, we're going to go from
expect.
Yeah. Well, we are the creators. So, we will also create our expectations, which is another shift in our belief system. And the moon takes you from right here, right, in our local universe, so to speak. And we're going to go way out there today on this journey and talk about a couple of the things that are really creating these huge challenges, this revolution in consciousness that's happening for, I know, all of us who are listening for sure. And it's happening to all of humanity. All of humanity is being prodded in that direction big time.
Right.
So
we are.
as we move forward in this presentation, just remember the moon is your key to navigation. If you understand where the moon is and what is going on with the moon and the 8 phases of transformation that are presented in each cycle, you will stay on track with your action, with your energy, knowing what time it is, and you don't have to know the universe. The moon dances, so to speak, or aspects every planet as it moves through each sign every 2.5 days. So if you reach for the moon, if you understand the moon and the way it works in your life for health, relationships, the way it informs your body, why? You're 70% water. So you're a tidal being, basically. And so if you understand that, then you will have a way to navigate and continue to work for your highest good and your greatest joy in everything. And the first thing I'm going to do is for me as well as you, I'm going to give one of the tools that I love. It's called the heart drop. And right now, one of the big things that's been happening since 2012 is the awakening of the global heart. You know, we talk about living from the heart, having a heart, thinking heart-centered thoughts, but we still continue in our culture to have an enormous amount of heart attacks and cardiac situations.
Right.
And that's because that's a different experience than physically being in our hearts. So we're going to do something that's a really easy, simple exercise, and we're going to go there together right now. So put your feet on the floor, your palms up in your lap, and about 3.5 feet below the earth is a magnetic string, so to speak, that goes down. That's your earth star. So on the inhalation, we're going to breathe in beautiful bronze sustaining earth energy from that earth star of yours. And it'll come up through your feet, your ankles, shins, thighs, up through your pelvis, your torso, your chest, all the way up, 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 up to above your head. And above your head, it will join with white light. And as that white light on the exhalation comes down through your crown and joins with the bronze light, you become golden. And your energy, all that thinkety-think, that mental energy begins to drop behind your facial mask, behind your neck, through your throat, down into your chest, and comes to rest in your heart. So we're going to do this at least 3 times. You will know when you're there, because when you are in your heart, you cannot be anywhere but this present moment. You will be here with the sound of my voice, with the energy of Joan and myself, and the future and the past will not exist, and you will be in the only reality that truly exists, the present moment. So let's do that, okay? So let's inhale. Bronze light up, 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 filling every cell up to the top, and joining with white light. Exhale through your mouth. Drop, 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 drop. And you can put your hand on your heart, your hands over your heart if that helps. So now I'm going to stop talking, and you're going to do this until you land in your heart. Okay, take a few breaths. When you feel yourself there, open your eyes, come back to be with us. And now take a few breaths, the next breath in and out of your heart. Breathe in and out of your heart. You'll find that you can see with your heart. It's an amazing experience when you start to get in tune with that. Yes, breathe with the rhythm of our heart. Yes, everything is rhythm, vibration, and frequency. Yes.
Sweet,
So
sweet,
yeah.
sweet, sweet. So now
So
we're going to be in heart astrology.
yes, heart and soul, right? Well, this is living from our hearts. First of all, hopefully you all just feel really calm right now, really slowed down to the speed of the present moment. After all, the present moment is the only moment of true power. And it's one of the ways that we are distracted from our power. We're pulled into the future. Be concerned about the future. Know what's coming, et cetera, et cetera. Carry the past on your back. Carry that baggage, all those memories, which can be delicious and luxurious and wonderful, but they can also be cords that keep your energy pulled toward something that's not real anymore. The past is no longer here. It doesn't exist. So this is one tool that you can use at any time. And I would just sit and get good with it and check in with your heart. How are you feeling today? And then you'll be able to do it really quickly. If someone's cutting you off in traffic or putting some bad vibes out there, as far as you're concerned, you can just drop into your heart and know that everything's okay. This is what the angels actually are telling us all the time. All is well. All is well. So use that tool. Also remember, when you breathe in, breath is not just air. It's life force itself. It's prana. And to live fully, you have to breathe fully. So when you begin to do that inhalation, make sure your belly's moving. And if you need calming, if you feel like you're even coming into panic in these times, do belly breathing. Do some belly breathing and then do the heart drop. Okay? Yeah.
I think we may need it for this astrology that's coming up.
Yeah. Well,
that's why she's doing it, I think, so we can calm ourselves down whenever anything seeks to stir us up. So what is on the horizon, my dear friend?
I want you to remember I love the lunar positions, and I look at the whole universe. But I look at the lunar positions because we are right now in eclipse season. Big stuff. Eclipses pop first. They pop Pandora's box open, which is what happened a week ago with the lunar eclipse in Taurus at the time of the full moon. It gave us a preview of what's coming in 2022 in January as the nodal axis, and I'm going to explain that, shifts from Gemini and Sagittarius. North node in Gemini. North node tells us, or it shows us where we are being asked to go, how to move forward. Sagittarius has been the south node. This has gone on as of January for 18 months. It always sets an overarching theme for the 18 months that it's ruling over, and eclipses always involve the nodal axis. So we're going to be shifting from air and fire to earth and water in 2022. More emotional. The material world, Taurus, our economics, our currency, and even more importantly, our values, of which we need to be our number one value and resource. Money is a means of exchange. It's one of the ways we've gotten off track as a species. It's become the number one value, which is the cart before the horse. So you want to look at what brings you joy. One of the things that you want to be aware of as we move into this next year, whatever's coming up for you, a big, wonderful question to ask yourself between now and March, because we're going to have some Venus stuff going on, which I'm going to talk a little bit about. What's your heart's desire? What's really your heart's desire? And when I first asked myself this question aligned with the eclipse, I was kind of popping off stuff. And then I thought, wait a minute, let me just get quiet, do my heart drop, and ask the question, what is my heart's desire? You could think with the Taurus energy, oh, it's a big house, it's a car, it's material. But Taurus says, Enjoy your five senses. You know, one of the challenges with this time we've been in is the sense of touch has been challenging. It requires 9 hugs a day to survive and 17 to thrive.
I think we're in a deficit.
So, yeah, I feel that the whole world, but especially America, is at a hug deficit. So, you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to hug ourselves 10 times. And we're not just going to do it like bump, bump, bump. No, we're going to hug ourselves. Because when you leave this plane, you don't get to do that. You don't have this incredible physical vehicle. So let's just start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's so wonderful. Didn't that feel good? Didn't that feel good?
I give great hugs. That's all I can say.
I do.
My hugs are great.
To feel your own flesh, you know, when you meet a friend, you know, I hope for all of you that you are not navigating these times with fear. Yes, there will be times when our fears come. Why? Because we are in a major, major time of cleansing and clearing. So you feel it to heal it. But you have a tool with the heart drop. You know now that you're going to need to hug yourself 7 more times today so that you're not in a deficit. And if you meet a friend, don't be afraid. Embrace them. Hug them. Genuinely. It's such it's such a thing to cherish these days. And also it's something that you can do in the mirror in the morning, because oftentimes we don't address ourselves, the valuing ourselves from the first notice of ourselves. High five yourself. Hey, baby. Hi, gorgeous. Whatever it is, you know, positive self-talk. This is what the Gemini North Node over the past 18 months, and especially that deep dive that this last month, I know you all experienced it, that deep dive that was triggered by the Scorpio Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Scorpio. It really asked us to look at our self-talk. How do we talk to ourselves? Do we actively, proactively program ourselves with positive self-talk every day? Or are we allowing any form of media, I don't care what it is, alternative or mainstream, are we allowing externals to program us? The South Node has asked us to go with the flow as our whole belief system is turned upside down. Now, it's really easy to say, oh yeah, those people, I tell you what they believe, those believe that, this, that. No, it's our beliefs. We're the creator. This is all internal work. We're the ones that are going to change, shift the world we live in. And so look at those beliefs. Do you judge? We all do. Oh, she's too fat. She's too this. I'm too this. Catch yourself and put some positive input in there. Even if it's, I'll tell you, here's another good tool. This is a great tool. They're finding that the hypothalamus is very, very important. It's the area that's right here. So it's between the throat and the thyroid and your heart chakra. And they used to think, oh, the hypothalamus, there's nothing going on there. Well, yes, there is. It's a major source and force for healing. So tap 12 times. Do a series of 3. And you'll hear it. You know, you can hear it. It's like a little, little hollow sound. It tells you there's a lot of energy in there, right? And then you say out loud, I deeply love and appreciate myself. I deeply love
and appreciate myself.
One more time.
I deeply love
and appreciate myself. Why 3 times?
I deeply love and appreciate myself.
Because you want it to be really grounded. You want to feel that love and appreciation in every cell of your body to the marrow of your bones. Because you are here for this time. You didn't leave. You're here experiencing it. So watch where you have guilt, shame, blame, judgment. This is what this year has been about. We have an eclipse coming up on the 3rd of December between 11 and 12 midnight here in California. So it's going to be on the 4th, early in the morning, as we move across the country toward the east. It's a total solar eclipse. We're not going to see it from here, but we are going to feel it. Why do we feel eclipses even if we don't see them? Eclipses set things in motion for 6 months. The eclipse in Taurus was a partial lunar eclipse. We saw it from here in North America. It was the longest in duration that we have had in 481 years.
So what does that mean, that it sets things in motion, Claudia?
Well, one of the luminaries, in the case of a lunar eclipse, the Earth moves between the sun and the moon, blocking the light from the moon, so we don't get a full moon. At the time of a full moon, we get full light on what we've created, how we're doing in our relationships, and regarding the intentions that we set at the time of the new moon, as well as the intentions that we set 6 months prior when the moon was new in the sign that the full moon is occurring in. So in this case, it was Taurus. And so it's a checkpoint. It's a big checkpoint. And so with a full moon, you have full light on the situation, for good or ill. You either have something blossoming beautifully coming to fruition, or it could be a little anemic and show you where you might have been off track. But when you have an eclipse, it blocks that light. And in this case, it took over 6 hours. Really long. The length of an eclipse, we always feel them 6 months for 6 months until the next eclipse season. However, the duration of that impact has to do with how long you feel it for. Well, this one was 6 hours plus, so we're going to have this impact felt all through the next 6 months. And it becomes really important to know how to work into these, to be aware, to take the time to stop. Why? And reflect, because a lunar eclipse imprints in the area of your life in which it occurs, and that would be wherever 27 degrees of Taurus is for you. It imprints for 18 and a half years. So this is one of the ways that you can look back cycle-wise. What was going on 18 years ago for you in the area of your values and your resources and your self-valuation, and how well you took care of this physical vehicle. Did you stop and smell the roses? Where are you now? And with the solar eclipse, it's 19 years of imprint. Solar eclipses, whereas lunar eclipses, they're lunar, the subconscious, the soul. So a lunar eclipse can pop where you're feeling an emotional lack in your life. So you might be having challenges with your relationship to debt or finances. And what are you going to do to shift your mind so you're kind and loving to yourself as you create and attract your prosperity? How do you affirm your abundance every day? If you're healthy, wow, you've already got it all. You've got what you need to open the door to the rest of your life. If not, know that your body is a self-healing organism. And again, you have what you need. With a solar eclipse, pops a brand new beginning in some area of your life. The solar eclipse that's coming up will be at 12 degrees of Sagittarius. So it will be the final eclipse. And it tells us that there's going to be a brand new beginning regarding those beliefs I mentioned, those judgments. And if you find that your life has some glitches in it, or there are what I call critical masses that keep siphoning off your energy or blocking your progress, it's a belief. And you have an opportunity at the full moon to release. Full moons are big release points. And then new moons, you put new intentions into motion. You plant them deep in these seeds of intention deep in your consciousness. So Taurus and Sagittarius are 5 signs apart. That asks us to do a dance of adjustment. So whatever you discovered at the full moon around where you feel a lack in your life, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. So it says, how are you getting your magnetic mojo working? Most of the time, if we're feeling depressed, it can be a suppression of feelings, but it can also have to do with not really knowing or feeling what we have to give. Oftentimes, when we're thinking about money and values, we can be focused on what we want to get. If you can flip that around to what you have to give, you'll find that immediately the game shifts. You're going to be doing a dance of adjustment, as it's called. 5 signs is a quincunx. It's a dance of adjustment that goes on between your beliefs and what you discovered at the full moon. So you receive, this is an Oprah phrase and I love it, you receive what you believe. Shift those beliefs, change your life. Beliefs and truth are not the same thing. Beliefs are just beliefs, right? To me, love is truth. It's the creative substance of the universe in my litany. But a lot of the other things are just beliefs. And many of them, which the moon deals with very directly, is your childhood nature. The beliefs you were programmed with as a child. When you knew, you were born knowing everything was possible and that you were magnificent. And then all these beliefs started being poured in. So the nodal axis is going to shift in January. You got a preview. And so you get to look at, like during the holidays, wow, what can I give? I feel that the most wonderful thing that you give to this planet is your vibration. So what is your drop in the ocean of humanity? How can you clear and cleanse that drop, that water? You know, I see humanity, and we've got a lot of things going on in Aquarius right now. It's one of the things I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. And I'll take a break and let you all assimilate for a minute in case you have any questions. But you'll find that you need to have a vision. You know, you need to have a vision of life, and then look at how you can walk that every day. Is it a vision of world peace? I mean, a lot of times people say, I want world peace, and then they go out and they're angry, and they're, you know, how can I move my vibration, my frequency into that of peace so that I am that? And that's true with everything. How can I move my vibration into one of the recognition of the wealth that is in my life? So your decisions, your vision dictates your decisions. So, you know, there's an old phrase, without a vision, the people perish. And I want to mention the Oprah phrase, you receive what you believe again. So all of these things, we are in a time of alignment. And when I move away from the moon into these bigger cycles that are going on, you'll see how we have been moving into this time of miracles, this time of revolutionary evolution for years. So, Joan?
Sweet. We wanted to give you space so you could just continue if you wanted. So it sounds like you're letting us know that there's going to be new beginnings on the horizon, that we're going to get to look at the dark parts of ourselves, like shining a light on ourselves in this next eclipse, and then looking at what has been hidden.
Yeah. Well, the sun has moved into Sagittarius. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of our license to celebrate. Sagittarius feels very different than Scorpio. So some people have been asking me, well, why does it still feel so darn intense? Why do I still feel so isolated and emotional? Well, Mercury and Mars are still, Mercury's moving into Capricorn this week, but right now into Sagittarius, sorry. But right now it continues. It's been in Scorpio. So that deep dive continues, and that shadow work, it calls for what's called shadow work.
So that's our personal transformation then. That's the work we have to do as we go through our own spiritual journey and ascension. What and on a planetary basis then, as we look around us, because I know that I've heard you say, and we said the other day, that this is the same astrology that was in 1776 or a couple of hundred years ago. And that was also a critical time of people wanting freedom, of transformation of a society, complete upheaval. So what kinds of things might align for us here that we can think about?
On July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, at I believe was 5:10 p.m. in the afternoon is the time that's used. This is the chart that's most commonly used if you want to look that up in Washington, D.C. And some of the things that chart pointed out was the position of Pluto. Now, Pluto is not a Disney character, and I think it's the Roto-Rooter of the zodiac. Pluto is decay and death and transformation and rebirth. And we are coming to our Pluto return in the United States. It's going to be exact on February 20th, 2022. By the way, 2 is the number of the moon and the feminine. So this is why I started out with.
So what happens? What happens with the Pluto return? I have this bug that's bugging me through this. I'm not hitting you.
So it's in the second house of the U.S. chart, and that is economics, currency, our financial system. If you think of a tree falling in the woods, an old tree, it falls in the woods and it has to go through this complete decay, this devolution, before it becomes fertile compost, and out of which rises new life. And that's where we are. And we've been feeling this for some years now, as it's been in Capricorn. Let me take a look here, because there are some things that you can look back to. So we have two transits, and I don't have a whole lot of time left, I know, but the 2 big transits that are working on us right now are the Pluto return. And, we came to this country for freedom, for sovereignty. I, as a woman, I find those first lines in the Declaration of Independence to show the karmic story. All men are created equal. Not all humans, all men. That has to change, and it will. Because it is all humans are created equal, children, women, and men. We came here to have freedom, to worship as we choose. We can see how that has been subverted and limited. So these are some of the things. It's in the house of values. So we are in for a revolution in values. And this eclipse is united with the ascendant of the United States. And that means the ascendant is one of the most important points in your chart. And it has to do with identity, your identity, the identity of this country. And so with the next eclipse, united with that ascendant, the show's on, because we are seeing the shift. Shift is really too kind a word. The revolution of our national identity. And
not just national, I think it's happening globally.
Well, as the United States goes, our chart is different than the other countries. But yes, you're absolutely right, Joan. As the U.S. goes, the whole world is watching us.
Right.
Because right now, our currency is the standard. And when you add the Saturn and Uranus ongoing transit We have had transits this year that I can go into on another show that have kicked this off again and again and again and again. And so we have the old traditional systems that are based on what? An old belief system. So you see how this all ties together. So when you look at these systems, these traditions, we are come into a conjunction that happened in the 60s between the planet of radical revolution and out of the box thinking and tradition and systems and authority. So I don't know, I was there in the 60s. I don't know how many of you were, but it was a time of radical revolution.
Right. It's been
Drop out.
subverted. I could say that. Definitely that was subverted.
Yeah.
That radical revolution. And we have, someone commented, my friend Vicky did, revolution evolution, which I think is kind of an interesting way to put it. And I think that is what you're saying, is that, so I want to point out that July 4th, 1776 is a 5-day, 5 being freedom. So the United States was actually founded then on that concept of freedom, which is always freedom versus restriction. And also, Claudia, we've been in a 5-year, 2021 is a 5-year. So what I'm getting is that, oh my God, this is the precursor then to what you're saying is going to start to evolve in around February 2022, where people are really going to rise up and this need for freedom might be overwhelming.
Well, it is power to the people. In 2024, Pluto is going to enter Aquarius. And that's about empowering the people. Now,
that's a long ways away, Claudia.
Not really. You're going to wish you could take a breath. Because as we have the last, we're going to have the last waning. The waning square of Uranus and Saturn and Uranus, and they're co-rulers of Aquarius, which is really odd because they're very different energies. But Saturn shows us our limitations. It's emphasized those restrictive systems that have come into place from a belief system that we're now seeing is erroneous. And Uranus is about thinking out of the box. It wants freedom. It wants radical change. And oftentimes it occurs through sudden, unexpected events. So with these two, what can happen is we can end up in a cycle of revolution, repression, or repression, creating revolution. These are the two things. And there are people taking to the streets, and we know this. Right. And so, there's all sorts of reactions to this. But what you're being asked to do is to think out of the old box, to allow that inventive, curious nature that Aquarius can engender to come forth. Interestingly enough, in the US chart, the sun is in Cancer, the sign of the moon, but the moon is in Aquarius. So that's the subconscious of this country, the soul of this country. It's being kicked in the butt. And that's what's been happening. That's why we feel it so keenly. And divide and conquer. The whole thing is to keep us a house divided. Don't go for it. The third dimension is one of duality. It doesn't have to be one of polarity.
Right.
So that is your choice every day. What do you do with the information you're handed? I want you to remember that facts don't create. Feelings create. So the way you feel about the facts that you take on, if you become a zealot for one side or the other, your heart is half closed. Judgment closes the heart immediately to yourself and to the world. I know I had a client the other day that she has a big mission. One of the things that I can find in your chart is your soul's purpose. And her soul's purpose is to help humanity, to contribute in a really big way to humanity. She said, well, I hate humanity. I hate people. And I went, okay, shadow work coming up, some revolution for your evolution going to go on there. So we're all getting to look at this. What I want you to remember is that Saturn is closer to the Earth than Uranus is. Uranus is going to win. Uranus is farther out there. But oftentimes, radical revolution is not comfortable.
And that's Uranus is radical, this radical revolution. And
it's electrifying. It's sudden.
And that is,
it rules earthquakes, by the way. It's in the sign of Taurus. And so we are all going to be waking up to how we do not know how to live in simpatico with this planet. And I know that the Native Americans are saying that this is why America will fall. I hold more positive view. I feel that we can incorporate new ways of living, but Aquarius rules community. This idea, Uranus has to do with the uniqueness of our individuality, but it also, Aquarius has to do with community. So with Jupiter there, Jupiter's optimistic. Jupiter says, expand your vision. Make it an inclusive vision. Don't go into an us and them thing. That's what they, if there's a they, that's what the external forces want you to do. But the light is more powerful than anything. And that's what you are. You're light. You're stepped down light into dense physical form. Is this an easy path to walk? No. It's really easy to choose sides. I have friends who are this political persuasion, that political persuasion. You ask me, I'm not. I've said it so many times. Joan's heard me say it. I don't feel there are any white hats. Everybody's hat is a little bit scuffed up. So, I'm my own white hat.
I have white hair. Wait, but it's got dark in it. It's got dark shadows. Yeah. Claudia, I want to address a few other things also. So, there's nothing to really be afraid of, because what I see is going to happen is, in order for change to happen, there has to be an upheaval of what is already there. So we know that that to get to the other side of Aquarian, we have to go through some kind of chaotic experience. And it's happening worldwide. So it's not even anything that we can stop. I find it fascinating. We're in a 5-year freedom. We've been in other 5 years of freedom. I really need to go back and look, but never one as impactful as this one, for sure. And you've given us all tools that we can handle our stress and anxiety. And you also mentioned the other thing, it's our purpose that's going to get us through. We're here because we agreed with Spirit, this is the time for us to be here, because we have the tools, the wisdom, the knowledge to share with our tribe. Each and every one of you has that within you. And so this is just to help you understand the cycles of the planet. When I was a chiropractor, Claudia, I did statistics on my business, and I discovered that there were cycles where I was really jammed and really busy, and then no one showed up in the office. And I used to get upset about it because, oh my God, look, no one's here today. We're going to run out of, no patients, no money. Oh my God, we're closing up. And I would have panic attacks until I charted it. And then I discovered that, say, after Christmas, January, there was a little slump for 3 weeks till people started to think about their healthcare again, and then we'd go on till whatever period of time, and there'd be a little slump, and then it would go back up. And then I realized this is natural cycles.
Yeah. Well,
I couldn't get in the way of it.
Life is not go, go, go. This is what the fake calendar was created to do. It was created to move us into enslavement. There was the Julian calendar, and then Pope Gregory developed a calendar. And so these, in 1462, I think it was. So we've been running to these calendars because we are considered to be a disposable species when it comes to enslavement. The only true calendar is the lunar calendar. Start following it, start incorporating it into your life. And, if you want to know what's coming up for you to be more prepared and to be able to surf these, these vicissitudes with more grace and ease, book a session with me. Book a session with me. We'll do vision mapping. We'll look at your soul's purpose, and we'll get you aligned so that you keep a focus, so you have an idea of what's your ground as we move through these things, because you're light workers. So you're here to contribute something major, and to keep yourself happy while you're doing it. Now, I was talking about when things began. So I mentioned the 60s with Uranus and with the conjunction, the last conjunction of Saturn and Uranus. And just so you see the power of these cycles, the opposition occurred in 2008. Everybody remembers 2008, and a lot of people lost their material security at that time.
That's
Some
right.
people lost their homes. So we're now in the last waning square. And in the last waning square, it affects areas of career. It affects what you are here, how you are here to impact the world through your work, through your profession. So the question then becomes, how can I seize this and make the most of it? So it really does demand that you stay present, because you're going to have all kinds of things. That's one of the downsides of Aquarius being scientific and inventive is technology. The downside of technology distracting us continually from our purpose and from our joy, giving us all this input. So we have to sift and sort, as opposed to, okay, angels, guides, guardians, source within me, I am that I am. Guide me to what's true for me now. Guide me to the appropriate action or the lack of same. Guide me. Taking time to shut the noise off, because there's going to be a lot of noise, let me tell you. And you're going to see some political stuff. It's just like preordained, it's all about waking us up. So, I've said a lot of times, men are not going to lead us back to the divine feminine. The feminine is awakening in all of us, men and women. But women are the ones who have to now decide to be the leaders in their own lives. We all do. But we have to look at how we can use technology and not allow technology to use us. We all hear that the internet might go down. Well, it's going to be repurposed. It's going to be repurposed. This is the thing. So remember that there's a higher purpose for everything. That source is bigger than any problem we have. And the planets are absolutely divinely designed to move us forward. We have all sorts of galactic forces rooting for our evolution.
Well, we do.
I mentioned Jupiter in Aquarius. This is the moon's the shortest transit, but Jupiter's a 1-year transit. It's going to be moving into Pisces. And as it does that, it's going to ask us to expand our compassionate viewpoint, to move away from the idea that suffering is a virtue. And when it comes to fear, remember, the definition of fear is false expectations appearing real. So when you feel fearful, here's another technique you can use. It's called counting forms. Look around you. Lamp, picture 2, window 3. Count forms until you become present. And you'll find that you are on solid ground. Most of you are fed, clothed, and have shelter. I hope all of you do. You're healthy. Your brain is working. You're okay. You're okay. Present moment. Point of power. This is something you're going to have to affirm a lot. You're okay. And see, every morning I chant that I, my neighbors, my friends, my clients, my communities, and all my loved ones are manifesting their desire for happiness. Aho nam myoho renge kyo. So there are a lot of things that you can do, and it's your job to keep your vibration high and keep yourself on track and reach out to those who love you, of which Joan and I are 2, to keep yourself on track. You are not alone in this. There's only one of us here. We are a giant diamond with 7.5 billion facets. We're each polishing our facet. Can you imagine how much light we're radiating, and we are capable of radiating into the universe? And I mentioned Jupiter. Why? Because Jupiter asks us to think big. It asks us to have a big vision for humanity. It brings opportunity and optimism for new, radical ways of utilizing the energies that are afoot. And also, basically, Jupiter is considered to be the planet where the ascended masters hang out when they're not with us.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah. So Jupiter really says, I really want you to expand spiritually. That's what it's asking us. So what is it calling us to do as far as expanding our vision of humanity? What is it going to be asking us to do to expand our vision, the way we walk compassion, the way that we are more kind, like I said, to ourselves? Because I find that our self-talk can be the root of our biggest challenges. Oh, why is this happening? Oh, what did I do? Oh, Saturn's the Lord of karma. And
Perfect.
That with Uranus together, it's showing the karma of this country. So it's going to be burned away. It's going to be balanced. And then we've got, we went to Pluto. We went all the way out to Pluto. And there's also the Kuiper Belt objects that are coming in, which I find really interesting. More and more, we're finding Eris, Haumea, Sedna, all these things that are being discovered that have different archetypes that have hundreds of years of a transit that are also now being really looked at. And one that is a very powerful player, there are two. Eris, the goddess of discord. She was not invited to the party when there was a big wedding. This is the tale from Greece. And so she went to Apollo, her brother, and she said, I was not invited to the wedding, and I'm really hurt and angry. Well, Apollo started a war over it. It doesn't have to be a war, but there is a war going on. It's the war for your consciousness. So keep your consciousness straight, high, your frequency. It doesn't mean don't look at the shadow, don't see anything that's happening that's a realistic thing. Know when you need to protect yourself, to shore up whatever you need to shore up. Be smart, but don't allow it to take you away from your purpose and from your passion and from your joy.
Yeah, you're so right.
You're absolutely
so right, Claudia. This has been absolutely astounding, extremely helpful.
I hope so.
Go ahead.
I just want to mention the last thing I'm going to say is Haumea. So I mentioned Eris, but Haumea, which I want you to remember, because Haumea is an archetype out of which every part of her body births a new form. The oceans, the trees, everything. And Haumea is with us. She's working with these strong squared energies that are going on. And she's got a long, long transit. So she's going to guide us to regenerate into and rebirth into a new magnificent world that works for all of us.
I love it. So guys, you've just met Claudia again, haven't had her on for a while. I'm always happy to have her. If you want to get information about how all these aspects and transits and eclipses impact you personally, then you're going to go to her appointment and book an appointment with her. You will not be sorry. She's been acting as my astrologer, and look how much fun we're having. So I highly, highly recommend Claudia. And Claudia, I'm so grateful you came on with us. Stick around in the back room for a minute and we'll be in there. But I'm just grateful you've been here with us.
This has been such a delight for me. And I just want you to know you get a free pre-session chat if you book a reading so that we target exactly what's up for you.
Wow. Okay. A pre-session chat. That's a lot better than you get with a lot of people. I don't necessarily do a pre-session chat when we do your reading, but you can have a pre-session chat with your astrology chart. So I love that. All right, sweetheart, I'll see you soon. And we're very grateful and appreciative. Oh my goodness. So that's a lot to take in. Fantastic information. I love how Claudia just doesn't lay all that astrology out there, which confuses me sometimes. But Gail tells you how to handle yourself as you go through all of these changes and aspects and transits. And so that makes it much more fun for us. But it is true. This has been the year of freedom, 2021. The numbers are freedom. And hearing her, and then realizing that the United States was founded on that day of freedom, and understanding that it's juxtapositioned with restriction, with being bound up, with feeling like you're going to have to burst out to be free. And that does explain what has been going on that it's been going on the last few years. And it certainly is showing its head this year, if you've been following anything of some of the protests around the world, especially around the vaccines and now new protests. So this is a time to really think. Well, I was going to say think globally, but you know what? No, it's a time to think personally. It's a time to think, how can you step into your personal power? How can you share your best gifts with the world so you can stay steady and stay in your heart and stay in your compassion and really have compassion for the rest of the world. We are undergoing some tricky times. And so all these tools are to help you prepare for that so you can be that leader that you came here to be. So that's my spiel for today. So guys, I'm so happy to see you. If you're new to me, as I said before, please like, subscribe, share, push that subscribe button so you can, be advised of when I go live, because I've been kind of shifting the times around till I get it stable. Also, guys, be sure to check out the website, joanofangels.com, sign up, get a free ebook, and sort of play with us on that site, some of the things that we're doing now. So I really appreciate you all. Oh, yes, in the Soul Awakening sessions, I did another one yesterday, and it was like a light went off in her. It was very, very exciting to have that experience. So, guys, I'm very grateful to all of you. I will see you all again next time. You've been here with Joan of Angels. We step into the miraculous every week with inspirational speakers who will help guide us on our personal journey. So have a fantastic next period of time and enjoy your holidays. Reboot, restore, rejuvenate. Love you all. Until next time.